former President Biden returned to the national stage in a real way for the first time since leaving the White House, using his speech tonight to rip what his successor has been doing during his first few months in office.
Fewer than 100 days, this new administration has made done so much damage and so much destruction. It's kind of breathtaking it could happen that soon. Well, they're following that old line from tech startups. The quote is, move fast, break things. Well, they're certainly breaking things. They're shooting first and aiming later.
My sources tonight are Jonathan Allen, NBC News senior political reporter, and also the co-author, alongside Amy Parnes, of the new book, Fight Inside the Wildest Battle for the White House, and also Alex Thompson, who is a national political correspondent for Axios and the author of the upcoming book, Original Sin, President Biden's Decline, Its Cover-Up, and His Disastrous Choice to Run Again. So I'm sure he loves to hear from the two of you on his first major speech. What do your sources say, Alex, though, about why he's coming out now, just the idea of hearing from him? Because I was interested in some of Isaac's reporting here at CNN today. He asked about hearing from the former president for the first time since January 20th. One longtime supporter and donor said only this, quote, no, thank God.
Joe Biden wants to be out there. A lot of his people have reached out to former aides, other Democrats, and basically the insinuation is Joe Biden is still the de facto leader of the Democratic Party. But a lot of Democrats do not feel that way. They think that he made a huge mistake in choosing to run again at 80 years old, and they don't want to hear from him. But you're going to see this push-pull because he does want to be out there. He does still want to have his voice heard. And so I expect that this sort of melodrama is going to continue in the coming months.
What do you make of what he had to say today? I mean, he was going after President Trump, but I mean, President Trump spends almost every single day attacking Biden. So does his administration. I mean, they bring him up in the rationale for a lot of their moves. What do you make of what you heard from him tonight?
Well, a few things. And I should say, I mean, Alex is absolutely right. I mean, this is, and as we report and fight, like this is absolutely a president who thinks that he should be able to burnish his legacy right now and put his legacy in front of Democrats winning the presidency in 2024 and is embittered. He's told people that he would have won. As far as his speech today, I mean, I think, he undermined himself right out of the gate. He used the term, quote unquote, colored kids, which aside from, being totally inappropriate, also puts him in an entirely other generation. I mean, none of us grew up with anybody saying anything like that. So, I mean, he's going after Trump, but I don't think he's going after Trump effectively. And again, to Alex's point, like, the Democrats want him to go away, and there was probably nothing more clear in the reporting that Amy and I did for the book Fight than that most of the Democrats want him to go away. Some Democrats still like him, but they do not want him to be the leader of their party.
Yeah, and your book really gets into the final days of his time in the White House, what that looked like, how other Democrats are viewing him. To that comment he made tonight, I want people to listen to that.
I'd never seen hardly any black people in Scranton at the time I was only going in the 4th grade. And I remember seeing the kids going by at the time called colored kids on a bus going by.
What do you make of that moment?
I mean, you saw these moments back in 2019 during the 2019 primary where, he would talk about putting on, he was asked, I still remember he was asked a question about reparations for the descendants of slaves. And he talked about putting on a record player for black kids in the home and how that was important. He is sort of, to your point, like he is he's an older generation. He's sort of frozen in amber. I also sort of remember about why he's out there right now. I remember a former aide once compared him to a shark. He always has to keep swimming. And I think that's why he's still continuing to be out there.
And he was going after the Trump administration on Social Security, saying that they're putting fear in people into access to their local Social Security office, their benefits, what that's going to look like, referencing Elon Musk very clearly when he was talking about moving fast and breaking things. This is something that other Democrats have been using against President Trump on the campaign trail. Congresswoman AOC has been out with Senator Bernie Sanders on the trail, getting huge crowds, actually. She went after Trump today at their event, and listen to this.
Donald Trump is a criminal. He was found guilty of 34 felony counts of fraud, found liable for sexual abuse. And if he wants to find the rapists and criminals in this country, he should look in the mirror.
mean, talk about, two different views of going after him and what the generational difference looks like in the Democratic Party right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think all the Democrats want to defend Social Security. That's been a core issue for them. Joe Biden in his 80s talking about defending Social Security, I think doesn't sound as appealing as maybe some of the younger generation talking about being there for them, right? Biden has been defending Social Security for 50, 60 years in the public eye. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, when you look at that, she's landing punches. Whether or not they are necessarily the issues Democrats are going to win on, and I think they basically have to get back to the economy and physical safety and physical security to win elections. What you saw in Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is a ton of energy.
And a ton of money that she's raising, $9.6 million in the first quarter.
To your point, just real quick, to your point, Caitlin, about her out there with Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden are about the same age. I think they're a year apart. Bernie Sanders doesn't look like Joe Biden, right? So, I mean, you can be an older person making younger people's arguments, making those with energy. And, with Biden, as we report in our book, and I think Alex is going to have a lot in his book, there's just a decline that has happened over time with him, and he's no longer somebody who represents what Democrats want to be telling the country who they are.
Well, there's some concerns. I should also add, there are some concerns among Democratic judges that the fact that a lot of the energy of the party does seem to be going in the left wing of the party, yet again, same as in 2017. And I think a lot of Democrats feel that they made some strategic mistakes by some of the positions they took at that time. And so it is interesting to see what the future of AOC and Biden is.
Yeah, that's a good point. Alex Thompson, John Allen, congrats on both of your books. Thank you so much for being here.
Former President Joe Biden denounced the Trump administration's staffing cuts to Social Security, calling them destructive, calling them damaging. Joe Biden also spoke out accusing the Trump White House of taking a hatchet to the agency that's responsible for monthly benefits to 73 million Americans. Renee Marsh has more.
President Donald Trump has repeatedly said he will not touch Social Security benefits, but he and Elon Musk often and without evidence claim fraud is rampant in the system.
Government databases list 4.7 million Social Security members from people aged 100 to 109 years old.
Social Security is the biggest Ponzi scheme of all time.
Trump's Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick has even suggested it wouldn't be a big deal for Americans to miss a monthly Social Security payment.
My mother-in-law, who's 94, she wouldn't call and complain. Mm-hmm. She just wouldn't. She'd think something got messed up, and she'll get it next month. Yeah. Mm-hmm. A fraudster always makes the loudest noise.
Meanwhile, the agency that pays retirement and disability benefits to more than 70 million Americans is undergoing a massive reorganization that is sparking fears the system could collapse. Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency plans to slash roughly 7,000 from the agency's workforce at a time when staffing is at historic lows. Aging computer systems are plagued with outages, and new anti-fraud measures are causing widespread confusion.
This Musk and Trump plan is what I call slash and crash. It would really destroy the services that families like mine rely on. Our entire existence is on the line.
Social Security is a major source of income for elderly Americans. For more than a third of people over 65, it accounts for more than half of their income. Hands off Social Security! The administration has moved to cut off benefits for some by listing thousands of immigrants as dead in a Social Security database, even though they're still alive. The White House insisting they're on a terror watch list or have criminal records. And DOJ is also pushing against court orders for sensitive personal data held by the agency, including employment, pay history, and home addresses, in hopes of using it to help the president's immigration enforcement agenda. On Tuesday, a federal judge in Baltimore heard arguments on whether she should continue to restrict DOJ's access to Americans' sensitive personal data at the Social Security Administration. The judge had asked that the agency's acting commissioner attend the hearing to answer her questions about why DOJ needs such broad access and what specifically they plan to do with the data. But the acting commissioner didn't show up, and the judge wasn't very happy about it. The judge has previously issued a restraining order blocking DOJ Doge from Social Security systems, but that expires this Thursday. So the clock is ticking for her to decide whether she will extend that. But it is worth noting, though, that Doge has continued to push for access despite the court order. Renee Marsh, CNN, Washington.